Boom shakalaka, great news for Bitcoin today as the price surges to almost all-time highs, only one resistance level left to go, and privacy coins are pumping with new Cypher up almost 400% today. We're going to take a look at the most undervalued privacy coins and where Bitcoin is likely headed in the next 1 to 3 months. Stay tuned. What's up everyone, Randall here from Crypto Love. Today's video, we have an action-packed video, another green day for Bitcoin, huge big day after some very big news we're going to go over for Bitcoin. Plus we're also going to take a look at the most undervalued privacy coin right now and where Bitcoin's likely to end up by the end of the year. Before we get into it, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell. I gotta say thank you so much to all of you who support the channel by viewing the videos. It makes a huge difference. The channel has taken off to levels that I never would have imagined when I started it years ago, and here we are. Also, today's video is sponsored by Revenue Coin, so stay tuned till the end for a sponsored interview with the founder. Now, if we take a look at Bitcoin today, we can see there is only one more resistance level left, basically the peak. We've broken through every other resistance level that Bitcoin prices at, and we are continuing on this uptrend. We actually batted up against the top of it just today. So Bitcoin doesn't have much room left to go, and let's take a look at the main drivers for this pump. This is basically what I talked about in yesterday's video, saying don't sleep on Bitcoin over the weekend. Historically, Sundays oftentimes will be big days for Bitcoin, and with a potential Bitcoin ETF launching on Monday, this is likely to be huge for Bitcoin. The SEC approves Bitcoin ETF, opening crypto to wider investor base. ProShares is set to launch trading of its Bitcoin Futures ETF next week. So we can see that after about 30 applications, the ProShares Bitcoin Futures ETF is the first for its industry to launch, most likely early next week. As a matter of fact, this one here it's encouraging for the future of crypto, and this will likely help Bitcoin investors get more into the crypto space. Now, the important thing to note is this is a Bitcoin Futures ETF, so it's not actually a Bitcoin spot ETF. It's not the same as actually buying Bitcoin spot, and it is likely the SEC will only allow futures ETFs to launch this year. However, Gensler's comments supporting a futures ETF hint that he will not allow a spot market ETF to launch in the near term. He highly doubts the SEC will approve this product this year. So, while we have futures ETFs this year, the spot ETF most likely not. And we can see proof of it right here. Here it is, Bloomberg's data team in the process of adding ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF to the terminal. Ticker will be BITO, and then the rest of the stuff there. But it's much cheaper than GBTC, so we may see a dropping of interest in GBTC as a lot of people go to BITO because it's less than half of the 2% fee that GBTC charges. Now, while everybody is pretty excited about this, especially with what's happening with the Bitcoin price, Raoul Pal voices his dissent. He says issuing the Bitcoin Futures ETF is a good step, but it's basically handing hedge funds a massive arbitrage opportunity as the futures will trade at a large premium in bull phases and they get to capture those returns. This is the old financial market trick. You now have to add multiple new intermediaries who all make profits. The ETF, provider, clearinghouse, futures brokers, administrator, auditor, law firm, CME, and hedge fund arbiters. Wall Street gets richer, retail investors lose again. So he's not too enthusiastic about this, but we have some stuff coming up in the middle of the episode where Bitcoin is likely going to continue to heading up. So while you invest in the futures or Bitcoin itself, it seems like things are going in the right direction. But after this news about the Bitcoin futures launch, it turns out that privacy-focused altcoins are soaring after the Bitcoin news. Now, the reason why? Who knows? But we can see that today's market movers, look at this 24-hour price change, New Cypher up almost 400%, Keep Network up 78%, Orchid up 24%. So New Cypher and Keep Network had a partnership, and that could be the reason why. Orchid is a decentralized VPN That could be why. Now, is now a good time to buy any of these? I don't know. But you know who does know? Token Metrics, because they do all the hard work for you. And as a matter of fact, now with Token Metrics 2.0, you can actually check out the ratings, and then you can separate them by whatever grouping they are. So if we take a look at privacy coins, we can see here that the highest TM grade privacy coins are not, as a matter of fact, New Cipher, not as a matter of fact, Orchid, not as a matter of fact, Keep Network, but we have ones like Beldex, Secret, Navcoin, Apollo, blah, blah, blah. Now, if we take a look at Beldex, because this one could potentially be one of the undervalued privacy coins. You know me, I don't like to buy something when it's pumping. Even though the price may go up, there's a higher chance it'll go down once people stop talking about it and everybody starts FOMOing in. So why not look at undervalued projects that have very high grade based on the team, based on the code, based on TA, based on a whole bunch of other stuff, and let's take a look at those projects. So Beldex right here, right now trading at 13 cents. And you can see here, this is the chart. Pretty much the lowest it was ever at was roughly around 5 cents. So it's really only about double the lowest price it was ever at. If we take a look at it, private ecosystem for the future, building an ecosystem of privacy-based blockchain products that anonymize your transactions, messages, and the entirety of your online activity. Truly private transactions, secure masternodes, and a bunch of different stuff there. But if we take a look, you can earn it using masternodes, so it includes privacy and masternodes. And one of the things that I'll mention is they are not listed on very many exchanges at the moment. So because it is more difficult to purchase, right now they're only on Bilaxy, BTC Alpha, Stex, and BuyUcoin. Because it is more difficult, if they were to get listed on another exchange where, I don't know, it's easier to get, well, potentially that could cause the price to absolutely soar. So that's one definitely worth taking a look at. Obviously, not financial advice, do your own due diligence, but take a look at some of these coins that are very high up on the privacy coins. I mean, other things that you could take a look at would be like Avalanche ecosystem. You can look at non-NFTs. You could look at Cosmos ecosystem, Polygon ecosystem. It's pretty awesome how you can basically dive into all the different altcoins nowadays with Token Metrics 2.0, and there is a link down in the pinned comment. But back to Bitcoin, because like I said, we are not far from all-time highs once again. As you can see here, look at this. We are literally a few $1,000s away, well on the way up. We could even break to the upside of this upward trend that we're in as things are going well for Bitcoin, because fundamentally everything looks amazing for Bitcoin. Turns out long-term holder supply shock ratio is now clearly at the highest it's ever been. Pretty much anytime it's been in this green area before, the price has run up significantly. Well, we are above that green area, so likely the price is to run up even more significantly. It makes you think even more that this whole entire mini bear market that we had was just a play by the big hands to buy as much Bitcoin as they could before they send the price astronomically high. Because it seems like $29,000 was a very solid bottom. 29,000 was the bottom because a lot of whales accumulated Bitcoin there. Ton of people, they basically flooded the market at 65, bought at a 50% discount, and then now the price is set to go up. I mean, look at how they're making futures available. Look at how all of this stuff is lining up. So Elon Musk and his homeboys could buy all the Bitcoin they wanted. Now, that being said, guys, big important things coming up for Bitcoin. So if you haven't paid attention to the rest of this, make sure you pay attention to this, because this chart here by Trading Shot, basically anytime Bitcoin has surpassed a previous all-time high, and you remember how I said here, we are literally a couple $1,000s away from an all-time high. Any time that Bitcoin has done that in history, on average, 30 days, it doubles. That's right, on average, by November 15th, Bitcoin will be $130,000. Holy crap. Yeah, it's crazy. But not only that, because on this chart here, this guy, Vince Price, is taking a look at these Bitcoin triangles being extremely precise. And in this log channel, where basically when it breaks out of there, oftentimes it goes up to the upper cycle distribution range. If Bitcoin were to do that, we could see roughly a $200,000 to $300,000 Bitcoin potentially even by the end of the year. So two very, very bullish charts for Bitcoin. Not only that, but it's also being paired with right now, things are looking a bit more bullish for the S&P once again. After the sell-off, it looks like there's an impending golden cross. Potentially, we could see the price heading back up. When everybody's bullish about S&P, guess what? Bitcoin price goes up as well. So that leaves me with probably the best advice for right now from William Clemente. He says, you're all going to be much richer by the end of the year. All you have to do is sit on your hands. That's right. Just don't lose it. Don't FOMO into projects and then lose it all. If you just sit, hold some Bitcoin, some altcoins, some NFTs, whatever you want, well, you're probably going to be richer by the end of the year. And lastly, because everybody asked me, what am I going to do at the end of this cycle? Well, honestly, it's different for different people. I don't ever plan on selling my Bitcoin or Ethereum, but altcoins probably after the next Pi cycle top flags or after the next cbbi.info peak, which we can see here. After the next one of those, I'll probably sell a lot of altcoins. So that answers that question for you guys, just because historically when I held altcoins back in 2017, they didn't do that well. They went down like 99%. I don't want to do that again. Now, they may not do that this time, but I can't predict the future. So guys, if you did enjoy that, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell. I really do appreciate you guys watching the channel. It means the world to me. And now stay tuned for the sponsored review with the CEO of Revenue Coin. What's up, everybody? I am joined today by Jarek Bialik, the co-CEO of Revenue Coin. How are you doing, Jarek?
I'm doing very good. How about yourself?
I'm great. Welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about Revenue Coin. So give everybody an idea, what is Revenue Coin? What's the elevator pitch?
Right. Okay, so at Revenue Coin, we create alternative ways of funding startups. These alternative ways make it more efficient for the funders to get funded and more profitable for the investors.
Okay, so I guess the first question that would come up with people is why Revenue Coin as opposed to different funding models for startups?
Right. So in the elevator pitch, I already used the term alternative. So obviously, looking for alternative ways means that we need to significantly make it different, better, from whatever else is currently being out there. Just let's look very quickly, at the current landscape, how tech startups are being funded these days. So in most cases, at least, when we talk about the commercial funding, funding is equity based. So you need to give away equity in order to get funded. Plus, when it comes to the average time this whole process takes, not mentioning costs and, how absorbing is that on the funding teams, it takes at least 6 months to get funded. So you see, like in the days when we expect, products and services to be delivered just in time, funders need to wait 6 months to get funded. Now, what does it mean, in the context of just grabbing market opportunities or simply any, necessity created out there for which, you have to simply raise funding very quickly and react? 6 months, it's an eternity, basically. So something very clearly needs to happen here so that, the situation changes. And, we're living in COVID times, still, unfortunately. So what happened over the last, 1 year and a half, it just became very clear that we need good alternatives here, and we need this process to happen, more efficiently. So there are alternatives, obviously. One of these alternatives comes with the so-called RBF funds. RBF here stands for revenue-based funding. It's actually very simple. So, I'm giving you a loan and you just pay it back as a percentage of the revenues created of your company, plus the interest. It's pretty sweet, for you as the startup funder, as well. It makes you feel safe, right? You pay what you can afford on the monthly basis. It's not so sweet, however, for me as the investor. I mean, first of all, I'm receiving between 6 and maybe 15% of the interest. And I still carry quite much of the risk. I mean, investing in startups, funding startups, it's still, a risky venture, right? So this is where basically where and when we step in. So with Revenue Coin, we do nothing else than tokenizing the debt. We tokenize the debt paid back, in this particular model to the investors. And what does it mean? This debt is tokenized. So let me just walk you through very quickly, the whole process. So we issue the tokens, right, as the Revenue Coin. Those tokens are being sold to the investors, so you can purchase those tokens, from us. The tokens are listed on one or several exchanges. The funds raised in this way are invested in the project, like yours or anybody else. The only requirement here, okay, there are a few requirements, but the basic requirements are that the startups need to be, they need to have a product, basically, or something being very close to the product, like a beta version of the product. And they need to be profit positive. So they need to generate profits or be very, very close to generate profit, or if not the profit, then the revenue. So they need to be clients, involved there in making the transactions. So here we just act, as the classic RBF fund. What happens next when you're paying us back, like based on this revenue, and we can agree every month you'll be paying us 10%, let's say, of your revenue. Instead of putting this money in our pockets or in the pockets of the investors, we take this money, we go to this crypto exchange where Revenue Coins are listed, and we buy back those tokens with all the money we collect at this given moment of this given month from those funded companies. So when we buy back these tokens, 50% of them are burned, so they're destroyed. And the remaining 50% is being reinvested, obviously minus our interest and minus the operational costs. So this way, that just two mechanisms working here. At one hand, we effectively decrease the supply of the tokens. Month after month after month, there's always someone, meaning us, right, coming to the market and buying the tokens. And the market knows about it because it's simply embedded, in our token economics. At the other hand, we have a pretty strong demand push in the form of those revenues being generated by the companies, and us taking up to 10% of those revenues, again, month after month after month, right? So the more successful those invested companies are, the quicker the whole process, takes place. So it's now all up to the market to decide, how dynamic this process is going to be. What will be the buyback happening this very month, or next month, or next quarter, and so on and so forth. So you can quite nicely speculate on this mechanism. Okay. So that's what the Revenue Coin is about, creating this whole new RBF model on steroids, as we call it.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting tokenomics model. It brings up kind of the next question. How do you choose the companies that are included in your portfolio, if I can call it that? And does the community have any type of say, or people who invest in Revenue Coin? How does that all work?
Right. So like probably every single, classic venture capital fund or startup accelerator, we create a funnel. So on the top of the funnel, we have the companies, meeting certain criteria. And just let me mention, a couple of them. First of all of the funded companies, they have to build or create or have, a very strong synergy effects between themselves. So we're talking about either sharing, or possibilities of sharing the same customer group, or technologies, or simply benefiting from the access to licenses, certifications, workforce in terms of the talent brought by ourselves, and so on and so forth. So they need to have something in common. They all need to have, like I mentioned before, they all need to have either functioning product or being extremely close to have one. Plus, they need to be ideally already, revenue positive. If not, they have to be close to be revenue positive very soon. Now, going down this funnel, at the very, very last moment, we involve our community. So the tokens are having also quite a few utility properties. And one of this property is that you, as the token holder, you have the right to vote for the project you'd like to see simply funded, and included in the, we call it, yes, the ecosystem. So to be included in the ecosystem. So in this sense, you have the very power, to have the final, let's say, vote or say, what startups from the list, from those pre-selected, from the pre-selected list, which ones should be involved.
Okay, very good. So how does somebody get involved with Revenue Coin?
Okay, at this stage, it's as simple as simply visiting our website, revenuecoin.io, where you can purchase the tokens. So again, it's very, very easy. Like, just by clicking on a certain button, you're taken to the shop subpage where signing in for the tokens happens. We are at the stage, at the private sales stage, which means that the tokens are not listed yet. They are not generated yet and listed, which means that you still have an opportunity to purchase those tokens at a significant margin, way below the market price. We foresee it to be listed at some point. You can still do that until the end of this month. With the first days of November, there is the public offering, or the public stage, where you'll be simply purchasing the tokens against the contract. So that's what will be happening next month. Something actually I forgot to add, this month, yes, I mean, you're buying, the tokens at the margin, but you have to be buying them at batches. So the entry level is currently set at $1,000. You can simply multiple, obviously, there's batches you can buy, well, as many of them as it's physically possible. From the next month, the price obviously will be much higher, but then, there's no entry barrier basically. So you can buy them, for as much as you want. So that's kind of the major difference here.
Okay. One of my favorite questions that I like to ask, what is your favorite part of Revenue Coin? What are you most passionate about?
Okay. I mean, I like thinking that, essentially what we do is reinvesting or reinventing the way, startup funding is taking place. It took us a while basically to kind of design this theoretical model. I'm saying it's theoretical, it's not put in practice, but I'm super excited, to see how putting this in practice is going to work. But it's simply matching, the best of those two worlds. So investors investing in the classic VC models, they like high returns. They are able to accept high risk, but they know that the reward is coming, as long as at least, one startup out of 10 is successful. And we like thinking about the startups, to be the next unicorns, and obviously, those investing in them receiving, really, really, really high returns. So we still keep it in place. I mean, with this growing sort of value and the price of the token, I strongly believe that, there's this high reward for the high risk is going to be put in place. On the other hand, we have this super slow and sometimes, ineffective funding process, which is, related to equity, to equity taking, yes, but it means that that the valuation process needs to be done, and the whole bunch of analysis in terms of predicting how the market is going to behave, and this particular startup is going to behave on this market, and so on and so forth. So now we remove that. We remove all this complexity, replacing it with something which is very, very simple, right? Simple because it's simply traction based. So matching those two worlds is supposed to give us, something which is new, unique, not really practiced, not really seen so far. And again, I'm just super excited, to see how it's going to work in practice.
Awesome. So anything else that people should know before we end the interview?
Right. So we have actually, in terms of selecting those startups, right? So the building the funnel, we have the two companies already pre-selected. One of them is called Xeria. You can find it on the website xeria.com. So Xeria is a technology builder, technology used in building bots, so building automated trading strategies. The second one is called Skyrocket, and you find it at the website skyrocket.trade. And the Skyrocket is it's an additional layer you put on top of the crypto exchanges, simplifying transactions. So basically giving you tools, the transaction tools not found anywhere else, not found on those exchanges as well. So mentioning about those synergy effects, there's a clear synergy between those two. Actually, those two collaborate with themselves already quite tightly. And the effect of this collaboration are the bots you can use in crypto trading. Obviously, we work hard on having more companies to be added to this portfolio. So I'm pretty sure that you will hear more about it fairly soon. But again, we already started to work on this angle as well.
Awesome. Well, Jarek, thank you so much for joining us. We will put links down in the pinned comment. Thanks again, and best of luck in the success of your project.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.